All right, everyone, welcome back to the 10PDC podcast. I'm Coach Gino, back with our cameraman and my purple belt, Mark. Mark, give me a shout. Yep. We are back, and we are going to give you guys some breakdowns for some of the past events that's been happening. Before we get into that, we're going to talk about some of the updates at the gym. So, over at 10th Planet Daly City, we've been kicking off the 6 a.m. Muay Thai classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Shout out to Coach Bryson, who's been running that class for us this past week. It was our first week of hosting those classes. So again, if you're an early bird, if you guys are open to giving it a shot, come on by. 6 a.m. sessions, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sign up on the MindBody app. New gear on the website. We've got the women's pink rash guards, Mark. You can put up a little image for it. The pink rash guards are up. We got some other new gear up there, some hoodies, some other stuff that you guys should enjoy. The Krispy Kreme, the 10th Planet Daly City Krispy Kreme version rash guard is up there too. We've got a few other pieces of gear that are coming soon, and we're hoping to get some Muay Thai shorts out there for you guys as well. That is all in the works. We are currently rolling into February. It's currently the 20th of January today, so February is right around the corner. With this month ending and rolling into February, we also have a new open mat for the kids on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. So kids open mat is at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. So this is, again, for kids to come in and get some training with the coaches. It's an open mat, again, not a formal class. So all the members who are enrolled in the kids program, if you want to come in on the 9 a.m. sessions to get some work in with the coaches, come on by. The kids got to be training and they got to be supervised. Okay, they got to make sure they're not messing around, making sure that they're training during this time, and we want to make sure those kids who are competing and who are serious about training get the extra work in on those Saturday morning sessions. So again, we're going to keep that going, 9 a.m. on Saturdays, right before the adults open mat at 10 a.m. And yeah, parents, if you train alongside their kids, that's fine too. Let's get them in. Let's get them the work in that they need. Competitions are coming steadily, and we want to make sure all the kids have the proper practices and they get enough work and time on the mat. With that, competitions. We've got tomorrow Jiu-Jitsu World League on January 21st. That is going to be in Stockton, and that is going to have, I think, 4 competitors. We got Dylan in the kids classes. We've got Tiara, Logan, and Bryson in the adults division. I think that's it, unless I'm missing anyone, Mark. Is there anyone else?
That's all I know of.
Okay. Shout out to everyone who's competing tomorrow. Good luck and all the best. Yeah, we got some other competitions coming up in February as well. February 11th, Grappling Industries. Again, I've been emphasizing this in the last few podcasts. Come on out if you guys want to compete. We're going to have a good show out there. We're going to be also having some Muay Thai fights coming up on February 18th. The PKB is going to be that day. And also, the Full Rules Amateur Bouts is going to be that day. So we have about 5 fighters competing on that. So that should be a good time. We'll give you guys more updates as we get closer to that event. But February 18th, San Francisco at the Regency Ballroom. If you guys want to come out, buy your tickets. If you want to see Logan's fight, Logan will be fighting on the amateur rules fights. You guys want to buy your tickets, get online, and make sure you guys buy your tickets soon. So the gym, again, has been doing really good in this early year. We're seeing a lot of people coming back in from the holiday break. It's been a really good turnout, a lot of good energy. We've seen a lot of good practices being held, and I'm loving the vibe, loving the energy. Keep it up, everyone. Make sure you guys stay consistent with your training. And this past weekend, we had our Jiu-Jitsu team duel hosted by 10th Planet Sacramento. The winners of the event was 10th Planet Oakland. Shout out to the 10th Planet Oakland team. Daly City had 2 teams. We did 2 different teams since we had a lot of blue belts wanting to compete with it. Shout out to both of the teams who went out there and represented. Super proud of all you guys. Real good event. Again, I'm happy with everyone coming out and supporting. I know we didn't get the W, but again, that's not what it's all about in these competitions. We're coming out for experience. We're coming out to get better and learn how to improve our game. And that's the biggest takeaway I want you guys to have when you guys go to compete. Okay, I mean, obviously gold medals are great, and having a lot of submissions and a highlight reel, that's all good, but the experience is the most valuable piece that you guys need to remember. You guys are going out there for. It's really to get yourselves to understand what it's like to compete, understand the feeling of the pressure, the feeling of the audience there, and being able to perform under pressure. And I think if you guys continue to compete, all you guys who are currently competing, continue to try to get out there, get out of your comfort zone, compete. It's going to be helpful for your development. And it's really, really one of those like priceless experiences that you're not going to be able to have again, down the line. Once you're at an age that you're out of competition, you're going to look back and want to make sure that you are proud of those accomplishments or those times you went out to compete. And again, it's intimidating. It can be scary at times, and it definitely can get to be, it could increase your anxiety sometimes when you compete. But that pressure is what makes us or breaks us. And I think if you guys continue to have that attitude of coming in for the experience rather than trying to have really high expectations of trying to get, big show outs and have a really big, more so not having too many expectations where it could lead to disappointments. Go out there, have fun, enjoy, do your best, and that's all I can ask for. And after this tournament, we've been talking with the 10th Planet NorCal team. We've been trying to get more quintets. The next one, I believe, is going to be February 1st, and it's going to be a white belt quintet hosted by 10th Planet Oakland. More details on that to follow. But again, white belts, if you guys want to compete, reach out to me. Let me know. White belt tournament is going to be good. It's going to be same rule set, team duel, same weight allowance, I believe. We'll talk to Mike, the head of 10th Planet Oakland, about that soon so that you guys can get all the details for that. So that should be all for current gym announcements and past gym events. Would like to move on into some news for the pro MMA scene. We had a lot of events in the past that we want to touch base on. Before I talk about the events, I do want to talk about one unfortunate piece of news that just got announced today. Marcelo Garcia, if you guys do not know, Marcelo Garcia, one of the legends in jiu-jitsu, one of the greatest of all time, debatably the GOAT of jiu-jitsu, unfortunately has come down with stomach cancer. And again, sending my prayers out to Marcelo and his family. Hopefully that he's able to beat this. Marcelo Garcia, if you do not know, is one of the greatest influences of 10th Planet. Eddie Bravo's favorite grappler, Marcelo Garcia. And if you do not know Marcelo Garcia, he is one of the legends in the sport. And again, is ADCC vet, has won multiple world titles. And again, just a very, very nice and a humble dude, one of the greatest guys in the sport. I really am feeling for him and his community and his team. And, I feel like the 10th Planet community is also there with them. So again, send your love, send your regards to Marcelo and his family. I hope he makes it out of this strong and he's able to beat this cancer that he's unfortunately come down with. But yeah, Marcelo Garcia, again, all the best to you guys and your family. And yeah, after the Marcelo Garcia incident, I would like to move on to some other news as far as the recaps for this last week. We have I think we had the ONE FC fight. Did we have anything else this past weekend? Oh, yeah, we had the UFC fight. I forgot to mention that, right? We had two events this past weekend from the pro MMA circuit. Sean Strickland wins his fight in the UFC. Is it decision, Mark? I didn't get to watch that fight. We were at the team duel.
Yeah, decision.
Strickland wins via team duel. I think it's like a 3-day notice he came in, or like a very short notice he came in for that fight. So shout out to Sean Strickland. I didn't watch the rest of that card, but I definitely watched the ONE FC card. We were talking about this last week. That ONE FC event, my gosh, what a banger, what a firework-filled event. It was just from top to bottom, really, really entertaining. And I want to kind of run through these fights and just talk about the results and what we saw this past weekend at the ONE FC. So it was One Fight Night 6 on Prime Video. So if you have a Amazon Prime account, you can still go back and rewatch it. Again, we mentioned all the fights that we were looking to watch, and most of them were really entertaining. Garry Tonon wins his fight against Johnny Nuñez by submission, finishes a Kimura from side control. Very, very difficult to finish that sometimes from side control position without lifting your person up to their side or even finishing it from a different angle. But Garry Tonon was able to finish that Kimura. Really high-level jiu-jitsu you saw there. So congrats to Garry Tonon and his team. The fight of the night followed that after, in my opinion. Stan Fairtex versus Anna Jaroonsak, Supergirl. And man, this one I gotta speak on a little bit. if you haven't watched that fight, go watch it. Stamp and Anna had basically, in my opinion, the fight of the night. Very competitive fight. Supergirl was walking Stamp down with hard punches, really putting the pressure on her. Stamp was fighting on her back foot, but she was throwing hard shots from off her back foot. So even though she was backing up, she was still throwing hard and landing really good. This was a kickboxing rule set. Again, this is where I think this rule set favored Stamp. Had we got to the clinch, had Supergirl been able to grab Stamp and throw those devastating knees, I think it would have saw a different result with the winners. But again, who knows? I would like to see them rematch in a full rules Muay Thai fight. Again, this is a kickboxing fight. And the irony of it is so funny. I mean, you got two Thai women who's been fighting Muay Thai all their lives. We're in Thailand fighting on this event, and they make it a kickboxing rule set, which, again, I'm not sure what the mindset was there. But again, if we get that rematch in full rules Muay Thai, I think I'm going to be picking Supergirl for that. Love Stamp, love her style, but I think Supergirl would have the advantage in a full rules Muay Thai event. So very good fight to watch. Very entertaining. Went to the decision. No knockouts. And those girls were throwing hard, and they seemed fresh right after the fight too. It was crazy how hard they were throwing, and they were really putting on each other, and they were just biting down and throwing. But after the fight, they looked fresh as daisies, and they were just all good. So it just shows you how tough the Thai fighters are. Again, really admirable performance. I think both of them got the bonus. Supergirl just got it last night at the 1FC event. A week later, I think Chatri just realized he needed to give her the bonus as well. So a belated bonus for Supergirl, well deserved on that one. Moving on after that fight, we had Rodtang put on a devastating performance against Jiduo Yibu, and man, really took it to him. I think Yibu didn't have much of a chance, but he stood in the fight. It went to a decision. Rodtang cut him. He was hurting him, and he was really putting it on him. And at the end of the fight, Rodtang helping him with the blood. It was funny. He grabbed the towel and was helping Jibu wipe the blood off his face. Rodtang, very vicious fighter, but also very respectful at the same time. Gotta love to see that, and I love to see Rodtang's performance every time. If you guys haven't watched that, watch it as well. The whole card. Watch the whole card if you guys haven't. This is just a spectacular event. 1FC really outdid themselves on this one. Moving on. Next fight. Nsang gets the TKO victory in round 1 against a Gilberto Galvão. Aung, former double champ of 1FC. The Conor McGregor of Myanmar really shut the crowd out during this event. The crowd was just like yelling like off the top of their lungs. They were just killing it. I mean, again, this guy is the star of Myanmar, and there's no one like him in that area or region. So, well deserved. I mean, I think he is one of those guys that's still on the cusp of getting back to a championship level. You can never count him out. Really good fighter. Catch weight was at 215. I'm not sure what happened there, but it was a catch weight fight for that event. But again, spectacular performance. Now, after that, we move on to debatably the most gruesome fight of the night. And it wasn't even a MMA fight. It wasn't even a kickboxing fight. It was a jiu-jitsu submission grappling match. Mikey Musumeci. Did I say it right, Mark? Musumeci. I don't know how to spell the other guys or pronounce the other guy's name at all. But Gantumur Bayanduuren. I'm gonna give it that shot, right? But man, gruesome fight. It wasn't even it wasn't really bloody. It wasn't necessarily the strikes. It was the leg locks. If you guys have seen leg breaks in jiu-jitsu, you know how gruesome they can be. And in this fight, I'm pretty sure this Gantumur is no longer walking correctly after this fight. Mikey was on the legs from the jump. Did you watch the whole event, Mark? For that fight?
Yeah.
I forget. I think I tuned in a little late to that match, but Mikey jumps in. I forget how it started. I just remember jumping in and watching the leg contortions. How did it start? Do you remember?
I want to say he just pulled guard.
Okay. So Gantumur, Mongolian fighter, very notorious. Mongolians are notoriously tough, but Mikey pulled guard and started attacking the legs right off the bat. At one point, Mikey's on some deep submissions. Mikey lock, knee bars, heel hooks, and you can tell the leg is breaking. He's just turning. He is popping the knee. He is just like contorting the knee in all sorts of ways, and it is just so difficult to watch because Gantumur does not tap to any of these attacks. He is definitely letting his knee pop, letting his leg break, and it was just so gruesome to watch. you don't even have to know jiu-jitsu to know the leg is not supposed to bend that way when they were going at it. And I was just so, oh my gosh, I was just so freaked out that this guy was going to have a full-on bone break in his leg. And I think most of it was ligament damage and, could have been tendon damage in there. I don't think there was a bone break, but sometimes during those leg attacks, it could be a full-on bone break, which is, definitely gruesome. I mean, the ligament attacks are already gruesome, but having a bone break, I would not be surprised if there was some kind of fracture there in the leg. It was just so bad.
I read an article that his ankle was broken, and it looked like it too during the match. I was like, his ankle looks like it is just in a different angle.
My gosh. The mindset obviously comes down to when you go into jiu-jitsu, any type of attack on the ligaments attacks on the limbs, you can not tap and you can survive off a limb attack. You're going to have a break, but there is a chance that you could survive and win the fight. The ultimate way to get someone out of a match in jiu-jitsu is a choke. Once you put someone asleep, that's definitely game over. Mikey was definitely on the legs for a long time. He maybe should have transitioned to a choke sooner and tried to attack for a choke, but he was tearing that leg apart, and it was so gruesome. And I understand it's not a local tournament. This isn't something that's for giggles, shits and giggles. This is an actual pro event. They want to make sure they come out with their shield, and they want to make sure that they're doing everything they can to win these events. But my God. For me, I'm tapping. I'm cool. If you're going at my leg, I'm not trying to limp out of the arena. I've had that happen before, where I've had ligament damage. I've had my ankle messed up, but I've learned my lesson from that. I am not letting that happen again. If I get on a attack on my leg and it's deep, I'm tapping. I don't care who it is. I'm not trying to risk that. But to each his own. Some guys are just soldiers and warriors. Kind of respect it. Kind of think it's a little ignorant, but what can you do? It's going to be to each his own. If you want to risk your health and your livelihood by letting your ligaments break and letting your arms pop and all that, I mean, what can we say? It's a warrior, and this is fighting, and this is unfortunately part of the game.
I just read an article right now. Chatri said, I heard the doctor said the injury was akin to a motorcycle accident where the knee was completely detached, meaning he was completely ripped off his MCL, LCL, ACL, and meniscus, like nothing was holding the knee together except muscle, and the ankle was broken.
Oh, man. If you find a picture of that MRI, Mark, put it up. If you don't, I hope they put that out. Wow. Oh, man. It was so nasty. Watch that if you're into that gruesome stuff. But, man, it was just so hard to watch. Very, very impressive performance by Mikey. But again, you got to learn from that. Go on to the choke if they're not tapping to the limbs, and try to put them to sleep. And that's the best way to get that victory if you want to get that full definitive victory. It definitely was a unanimous decision victory for Mikey. And watch it. It gets in cringe. Watch it in cringe. Okay. 2 more events for the night. We had Superlek versus Daniel Puertas. Daniel Puertas put the pressure on Superlek. This is, again, a kickboxing rule set. This was debatable because I love Superlek. Debatable who should have won this because Superlek kept clinching. And in kickboxing rules, you're not supposed to clinch. But Puertas was putting the pressure on him. And in Muay Thai, when someone puts the pressure on you, you grab them, you knee them, and you hold them, and you try to make them work out the clinch. You throw some elbows. But in kickboxing rule set, there's no clinch allowed. There's no elbows allowed. And you can throw the knees, but again, you have to be only holding them with one hand. The whole fight, Superlek is just grabbing him whenever Puertas is putting the pressure on him. Almost knocks him down, which I think won him the fight. Almost knocks him down. Puertas is such a monster, such a beast. Stood and weathered the storm and didn't get dropped the whole fight. He got wobbled definitely, but Superlek, man, you can tell he was looking for that right head kick all night. Puertas was super smart. He kept his hand up a whole time. He wasn't getting caught with that right head kick. Superlek, the kicking machine, he knew if he landed that kick, definitely probably would have done some damage. But Puertas just super smart, putting the pressure on him, keeping the hands up, and just walking him down forward. Superlek gets the decision victory. Would like to see, definitely, if it had been a Muay Thai rule set, I think Superlek would have had a much better performance. And again, Puertas, who knows? He's a game guy. If I've never seen him in the Muay Thai rule set either, but I'm sure he would be a game opponent for that as well. Let's see a rematch on that, and definitely would like to see what's going on. I'm very interested to wonder why the ref did not take a point from Superlek, because there was many warnings. and plenty of opportunities to take a point away. But Superlek definitely got the victory. And what can you do? If you're looking at it from a Muay Thai rule set, it's a different story. And moving on, again, to the last event of the night, another kickboxing fight. What an upset on a lot of folks. And Superbon gets knocked out by Chingiz Allazov in round 2 with a devastating 3 knockdown finish. In kickboxing rules, 3 knockdowns and the fight is over. Allazov was just all over Superbon from the get-go. Superbon was trying to keep it composed, trying to keep it relaxed, but Allazov was just putting the pressure on, throwing crazy speed with the hands, mad punches, and was just like digging in, trying to get to Superbon. I have never watched Allazov that much. Superbon I'm a big fan of, but Allazov, man. I think Coach Wendell, Blue Ocean Muay Thai, shout out to Coach Wendell. He was definitely watching Allazov. He knew he was going to get that victory. I think Wendell definitely put that point out that Allazov was well deserving of that win. I would like to see them run that back. Let's see if Superbon can adjust. But, man, Allazov put on a show. What a way to cap off that night. A huge knockout over Superbon. 3 knockdowns, and then the last knockdown definitely put Superbon out. I think they were all knockdowns via punches, but Allazov was setting up great. He was switching stances. He was moving really, really fluidly. And, that's the key when you're fighting the Thai style is like really just putting the pressure on, especially if it's in kickboxing and there's no clinch. You got to put the pressure on, a lot of hands, a lot of movement, and, take it to them. So, really, again, spectacular event from top to bottom. The only fight I did not comment on was the first fight of the night, Shuko Sato versus Kim Jae-wong. Did not see that fight. It was a decision win. But again, the rest of the fight, from my opinion, the rest of the card, I should say, was spectacular. So again, shout out to Shatri for putting that on for us. Okay, that's enough of the ONE FC event. Mark, any last thoughts before we move on?
That was an awesome card. I actually got a couple of people that are not really into martial arts to watch it, and they were really entertained.
Yeah.
The only thing they said it was just long, but
You mean the event?
Yeah.
It's
But
okay.
It was nice to have people just be like, "Wow!" Especially when they watch Stamp and Supergirl, they're just like, "This is crazy."
Definitely one of those events that you should tune into with someone if you have not. Oh, sorry. If they're not that into mixed martial arts or just in general martial arts, because this event showcases the best of all of them: kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and it's a really, really entertaining event. And especially if you have a Prime Video, you can just skip through all the parts where you want to miss. That's the good thing about having that playback on Prime Video, that you can just fast forward through those events. And really, again, tune in if you haven't. So, other than that, we have upcoming events. Okay, now let's talk about this weekend's event with the UFC. We have 2 title fights. We are going to have, for the light heavyweight title, Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira. And for the flyweight title, we have Brandon Moreno and Deiveson Figueiredo, number 4. Leading up to that, we have a few other fights. Paul Craig leads off the main card with Johnny Walker. Lauren Murphy fights against Jéssica Andrade. Following that, Gilbert Burns fights Neil Magny right before the main event. A few other fighters I'm watching. Obviously, Shogun Hua is going to be leading the prelim card. A big fan of Shogun. I've loved him for many years. Close to retirement, so hopefully he makes it out of this without too much damage. And we got a stacked main card. Again, the prelims, we got a bunch of fighters as well. Thiago Moises, I'm a fan of. Gregory Rodriguez. Watch out for those fights. And yeah, like again, we're looking like it's a good event this upcoming Saturday. This is going to be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. It's going to be is it pay-per-view? I believe it's pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's pay-per-view.
Yeah, UFC 283, so it is a pay-per-view event. So let's talk about the main card, okay? Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker. Paul Craig, one of my favorites as far as jiu-jitsu in the light heavyweight division. Very, very game fighter. Johnny Walker, I'm a fan of, but he's definitely been on the downward decline, and unfortunately for him, he's got to win some fights coming up. His stock is definitely dropping. We got to see him come back. Hopefully, that's a good fight for both of them. I think Craig is going to be taken to the ground. Johnny Walker, super long, super tall. He's going to be trying to keep it standing with Paul Craig, in my opinion. And that one, definitely one of those classic jiu-jitsu versus stand-up fights. But again, it's MMA. Who knows what each opponent is going to be coming out to look to do. And I'm interested to see that matchup. I think Johnny Walker, if I'm not mistaken, let me see when his last fight was. Johnny Walker, again, he was deemed to be the next John Jones. Did he fight John? I forget. Johnny Walker, John Jones. I think it was. I'm confusing him with Dominic Reyes, but yeah, I don't think Johnny Walker ever fought John Jones. He was deemed to be the one to fight John Jones, but never happened. Johnny Walker won his last fight via submission against Ian Cutelaba. But again, he's had a string of losses before that against Thiago Santos and Jamal Hill, the main event tomorrow. But, shout out to Johnny Walker. He's still a warrior. He's out there. He's going to try to do his best to get that fight on his end. And we'll see. We shall see tomorrow. Okay, moving on. UFC 283's next fight on the main card. We have Jéssica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. This one, very intriguing fight. Jéssica Andrade, the Hammer. What's her nickname? Right, I forgot. Do you remember her? It's in Portuguese. Her nickname. I believe it is the Hammer or something like that. But she is definitely. She is definitely a game opponent. Lauren Murphy, a veteran of the sport, she is definitely also game opponent. So that's going to be a fun fight. Those two always put out on the fights, and they really show their heart and they display really, really durable and really, really tough, hard-nosed fights. So, yeah, watch Andrade versus Murphy, the only female fight on the main card right there.
Looks like somebody translated it to pile driver.
That's right, the pile driver. That's right. And well-deserved nickname. If you saw her fight against Rose Namajunas, man, that name is well-deserved. Okay, moving on. Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. Gilbert Burns and Neil Magny, both jiu-jitsu aces, very good with their grappling. Gilbert, I would give him the advantage in the stand-up, but Neil Magny is such a long, very, very lanky opponent. I think Magny may have the longest reach in the UFC, if not maybe behind John Jones or maybe debatably the same. But Neil Magny is just a very, very tricky opponent because you always underestimate him because he doesn't have the power that you'd want to see, but he definitely has the strategy, the fight IQ, and he has the ability to reach from across the cage. He's just super long reach, very dangerous opponent. That one I'm intrigued to see if Gilbert can close the distance. It's one of those fights that maybe it may end up turning to a stand-up battle because they're both so good on the ground. If it goes to the ground, then it's anyone's game. I think if Gilbert may have a small advantage, he's a jiu-jitsu world champion, a lot of experience on the ground. Both of them are really game opponents. Gilbert, I love his style, exciting, always having a fun time in there and really putting on a show. Magny is a little more strategical. He doesn't always put on the fireworks, but again, he does what he needs to do to get the win. So very intriguing matchup right there. Check it out. Let us know what you think is going to happen there.
Did you see that Magny trained with Hamzat? He said he messed around and found out that he's the real deal. Oh, wow. Magny,
if you guys didn't see Burns versus Khamzat, man, that was probably the fight of the year right there. But yeah, I mean, Khamzat working with Magny, that's a good move on Magny's end. Magny is definitely, again, one of the higher upper echelon fighters in the UFC. Hasn't had a title shot yet, but I think if he beats Burns, he's definitely knocking on that door soon. Okay. The co-main event of the evening, the fourth fight between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. Man, this storyline of these two fighters has been amazing. We've had 4 fights. Again, this is going to be the 4th fight. The first fight goes to a draw with Figueiredo and Moreno. And the second fight, Moreno gets the victory via submission. The third fight, Figueiredo wins by decision. And now we are here at the 4th. So we got a draw, 1 for Moreno, 1 for Figgy. And now this is technically the rubber match, if you want to think of it that way, even though it's the 4th fight. And we're going to see on this one who's got it. This is anyone's fight, I feel. Moreno is game, Figueiredo is game, and I'm super intrigued to see what that's going to look like when they meet for the 4th time. Figueiredo has been trading with, I believe, the Cejudo camp, and he's been really putting it out there and really putting on a good fight. Showing his development and putting on good fights. I believe he had to vacate the undisputed title for a little bit, or not vacated, but they had to host the interim title for a little bit because Figgy was injured. During that time, Moreno fights Kai Kara-France and gets a knockout victory against him. Moreno is always game. Moreno is one of those fighters always going to put it on. The first ever Mexican UFC fighter, and I'm sorry, not Mexican UFC fighter. First ever fully Mexican UFC champion. And Moreno's a game fighter. He's just so hard nosed, and he's not going to back down. These two fighters, it being flyweight, they don't have as much weight behind their punches. They're not throwing as hard to knock each other out, but that just turns into a huge, high-paced fight, really entertaining. They're going at it the whole time. And, I think when it comes down to it is going to be who has the stronger will, who wants it more, and there's no telling with these guys. They're both champions in my eyes. This is going to be a fun fight for the fans on that event for sure. Who do you got for that fight, Mark?
I can't root against Brandon Moreno, just like I'm a fan of him as a person.
Yes, Viva la Mexico, okay? Figgy got style, I like his style too, but Moreno, man, he's just a great dude. I think they both are going to have a good stock rise after this fight. Because who knows? Maybe we'll get a fifth fight. It is UFC, and there's no telling what can happen in here. Hopefully it's not another draw. Okay, main event of the night, Glover Teixeira, Jamal Hill. I am picking Jamal Hill for this fight. And then, I love Glover, but I think his time is coming to an end. He's definitely on the tail end of his career. Jamal Hill's been rising up, knockout after knockout, got that mad power on him. I think the last loss he had was when they had that arm break against Paul Craig, and that nasty arm break. But Jamal Hill came back and bounced back. He's been knocking guys out ever since. Glover is a knockout artist as well. Obviously, he won the title via submission against Jan Blachowicz. But, right now, I'm pretty sure these two are going to keep it standing. This is going to be a battle. Again, I'm picking Jamal Hill because just for the youth factor. But it's anyone's game, as always, in UFC. Glover has been a vet. He's been around for many years, fought the best of the best. And he can definitely get the victory. But I'm leaning toward Jamal Hill on this one. Mark, what do you feel on this fight?
Yeah, same. Just the age, and Jamal Hill just looks so powerful, strong.
Watch that highlight reel if you haven't. Watch that Jamal Hill highlight reel. That knockout against Johnny Walker. My gosh, if you guys don't remember that, he iced him. Okay, just out cold, and banged him out and Johnny Walker went stiff with that knockout. Jamal Hill is scary knockout power, very scary knockout power. Glover's got knockout power too. So again, this is like if anyone lands that perfect shot, it could be anyone's fight. And you always got to give a puncher's chance in every fight. So, again, UFC 283 tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen for the results. We will recap it next week for you guys. Okay, our last upcoming fight I wanted to talk about or events coming out is going to be on March 10th. Okay, so I want to give a big shout out to the fighters fighting on the Bellator fight. Bellator is coming back to San Jose March 10th. I'm hoping to get a big crowd out there, all the team out there, because we've got some banger fights out there. And shout out to the Scrap Pack out there. Carrie Melendez is making her return to the Bellator cage. I'm sure Scrap Pack's going to be coming out there strong. The 10th Planet Daily City team is well acquainted with the Scrap Pack, and we have a big love for them and support with them. So we're going to be out there strong supporting Carrie and the Scrap Pack team. Also, out of NTFA, Adam Wamsley is going to be fighting as well, representing the NorCal Fighting Alliance team with Dave Terrell's team. So we should have a big crowd out there for all those who represent that Scrap Pack squad. I'm super excited that Bellator coming back to San Jose. We haven't had San Jose Bellator come back in a long time, and San Jose is big with mixed martial arts. San Jose obviously had the Strike Force. We had a lot of fights coming out of kickboxing back in the day. Scott Coker has been out in San Jose for a long time. And we've got a lot of our guys who've cut their teeth in that promotion with Scott Coker. The main event is going to be Usman Nurmagomedov. I believe either the cousin or brother of Khabib, but I think regardless, he's the brother of Khabib. And we also have Benson Henderson, former UFC lightweight champ, as the main event. So that's going to be for the Bellator Grand Prix lightweight tournament. That fight should be also great. Looking forward to going to that fight and actually watching it live. I've not been to a Bellator event yet, but I'm planning to be out there March 10th. If you guys want to come out, watch the whole team, we should have a good time coming out there. San Jose, real easy for us to get to. Let's go out and support, and let's go have a good time out there. Bellator, March 10th. We will update you guys with any news after that or coming soon. If any other fighters are coming up for that, I'm super excited to go out there and have a good time with the team. With that, I think we wrap up most of the announcements for today. Yes, I'm looking forward. A lot of good events coming up soon. We will be back again next week for another update with the podcast. Mark, any last thoughts before we close off today?
That's the $1 million Grand Prix, right?
Yes, the $1 million Grand Prix. Gotta love when they do Grand Prix. Grand Prix tournaments. Unfortunately, it's not the same night. Miss those days in the Pride days when they fought like multiple times in the same night. But it is going to be a Grand Prix tournament for the lightweight title. The $1 million winner for the Grand Prix tournament. We'll review all the fighters for that in the near future, because definitely want to see how that's going to play out.
One is going to do their another $1 million event too, right? The open weight Muay Thai.
Yeah, that's another thing we need to speak on, because I have not heard the updates on that. But the open weight Grand Prix tournament for Muay Thai in 1FC is going to be wild. This is an open weight tournament. Never in my life have I seen an open weight Muay Thai tournament, and just the idea of having heavyweights fight against lightweights in a open weight tournament is ridiculous. Imagine, again, I keep telling you, imagine Alistair Overeem versus Rodtang. Imagine, okay, the size difference is just going to be wild. If that happens, if it really does happen, everyone's got to tune in for that. That's going to be a wild one. So, a lot of cool events coming in the future. A lot of stuff we will keep you updated with. But yeah, again, let us know, guys, if you have anything else you guys want us to touch base on, and we will make sure we will do it in the podcast in the future. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for subscribing and supporting. We hope to see you guys soon. Train hard, stay consistent, and all the good stuff.